All right. I think it's time that you and I dig in to some of the fundamentals, dare I say the essentials, as my friend Dave Spalding says, the essentials with the rifle. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. We're out here alone in the beautiful woods today. Spring is a poppin', baby. And we've got another class coming up in about a week in Jefferson, Ohio. I'm getting myself ready for that. Got this beautiful Radian weapons with an aim point on it. And I want to work through some of the stuff that we do in class. Everything that we're about to do, you're going to do dry, you're going to do live. Dry is not just for safety. Dry is to help you build the mechanics so that you're not just wasting ammo. Something we talked about the other day, somebody said to us, well, like in a real fight. Well, I'll come back by you guys so I can see. Yep, there isn't a real fight here. I'm on the range, which is no different than going to the gym, the track, or flight school, or EMT school, or medical school, or baking school, or culinary school, or you name it. We're out here learning new things. We're not doing the thing. You've got to be able to compartmentalize your training into bite-sized chunks and think about what the end goal is. Today, the end goal is that we are going to develop some very efficient, proficient, safe, and highly accurate manipulations with the carbine, the AR-15, the modern sporting rifle, if you're one of those people. And we're going to dig right into it. Firearm is unloaded, but we're going to check. I was just talking with a group of my instructor buddies today. There is never, I don't care who you are, if you come from the highest echelons of special operations, if you're a hunter safety instructor, if you run a gun store, there is nobody too cool to know the condition of the gun. And if you and I were hanging out and I was like, hey, check my gun out, you don't trust me, you double check. That is the hallmark of professionalism with an instrument that can take life or maim a human being. 3 points we always check. The chamber, and I do that without pointing my muzzle at something that I shouldn't kill or destroy. I am alone out here. It's a camera on a tripod. Cool your jets. But I'm going to inspect the chamber, the breech face or the bolt face. That's the part where the primer sits, the back of the case, and the mag well. Well, I can see there ain't a mag in there. Do it. Be deliberate. If people's lives are on the line, be deliberate, okay? We're building systems that support the outcome that I want. What outcome do I want? I want to live a long, full life. Cool. Long is easy. I can live forever in prison, eating, sleeping, warm bed. That's not a full life. Taking showers with dudes, pooping on a steel toilet, not seeing my family, not seeing my grandkids, that's not a full life. Part of that is making good choices with these guns. The chamber, I can do that without pointing the gun. If I'm in a slung position, I can bring this gun to my face. This is stuff that we work in class. I need to be able to manage and manipulate my gun, whatever it might be, in the three-dimensional world that we live in. I can't just be like, well, this is what I do, until I just pointed the gun at somebody, right? We've got redundancies. Safety's on, fingers high off the trigger. Again, chamber, breech face, or bolt face, magwell. Look away, look back. Chamber, breech face, and magwell. We say this in class. Remove the source of ammunition, store it on your body or somewhere else. If I can get it in my pocket, cycle, 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 lock the bolt to the rear. It's not just cycle, cycle, cycle. Cycle, 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 lock the bolt to the rear visually with your eyes, and if needed, physically with your finger. Inspect the chamber, where that projectile cartridge goes. The breech or bolt face, magwell, look away, look back, do it again. Chamber, breech face, or bolt face, and the magwell. Make sense? Cool. How do we load this blaster? Well, let's do that too. First things first, let's make sure that the dot or any optic is turned on how I want it. I don't want to load the gun up and then be sitting there monkeying around with the optic. So I'm going to turn the optic on now. I'm going to do a little quick tire check. Is everything how I want it? Anything falling off? Well, my sling's a little wumpus. How about I fix that? Do I need lube, right? I'm going to take a quick systems check, make sure everything's how I want it. Cool. I should also remind you, check your sling points and the sling itself. maybe every 3 months we see a rifle as we're sitting here all of a sudden just go shoop and go muzzle first into the gravel or dirt because the sling gives out. Don't buy cheap sling points. How do I load this rifle? Bring the rifle to a high port position. Butt stock is between my forearm and rib cage. I've got good control of the muzzle. This is just an administrative load. I'm going to retrieve a magazine. I'm shooting lefty because I don't see good out of my right eye. I got an injury as a kid. Too bad, so sad. If you're righty, you're just going to do it opposite. Seat, lock, tug, and I've got options here. I can, as a righty, I can go seat, lock, tug, and I can take my thumb right to the paddle and knock the bolt catch forward. That's one option. So I can go seat, lock, tug, paddle, or I can stroke the bolt. What's next? Maybe I want to press check. Press check. If I open that bolt, pump the forward assist, verify the safety's on, close the dust cover, and let's let it hang. So let's talk about basic positions with the rifle. First of all, a well-regulated militia. Well-regulated did not mean red tape, government entities telling you what you could and couldn't own. Well-regulated in the context of the day meant trained, ready. When the call to arms went out, the militia could run from their homes, their shops, their farms, and go defend the town, defend the state, defend the nation. That's why we do this stuff, to defend innocent life. Ready positions. Hang. We'll call this the hang position. This isn't Mickey stuff. This is a very codified set of terminology. Problem with hang is these safeties can be actuated pretty easily by gear, by your belt, by your jacket, whatever. So hang is here. Where's the muzzle pointed? I don't ever want to develop a hanging posture. This ain't a purse strap. Look at where the muzzle's pointed. It's pointed where somebody else could be. Pardon the background noise. There's a drop zone near here and it's a beautiful day and everybody's jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. So from the hang position, understand at all times the condition of the gun, understand at all times where the muzzle's pointed. So if you're in a class or you're somewhere and somebody says, let it hang, this ain't let it hang. Where's my muzzle? I need to be in positive control and I need to know where it is. Safe hang. Safe hang would be your dominant hand on the gun. And in fact, you're going to use either your index finger or your thumb, if you got an ambi safety, to have positive control of the safety. So for me, when I'm in the slung position, position 2 of safe hang, I have my thumb just resting so I can feel if something impacts it or takes it off. Here's an honest to God true story. I was helping with a TCCC training event, Tactical Combat Casualty Care, for a pretty large SWAT team. I was more just helping do some safety stuff. I was helping with some of the dynamic stuff on the range, smoke and explosions and things like that. Good dudes, great dudes. The medic running the event is calling out what's happening in the field. These guys are all in their SWAT gear. They've got chest carriers, helmets, all that jazz. And I'm pretty much dressed like this. And I'm yelling and telling people stuff through the smoke and noise, you know, where they should be, what they should be doing, or if they hit or miss the targets. And all of a sudden, one of the guys' muzzles of his rifle ended up, guys were bent over working on a dummy. And this is why you do things in training. He's working on a dummy. And his muzzle went between the back plate and the back of another officer. He's down there trying to help and doesn't realize that his muzzle's jammed in there between the back plate and the back of this human being. I look and his safety is off. Holy crap. I reach in, I click the safety on, and he doesn't even realize it. I pull his rifle off of him. I hit the QD mount. This is in the middle of a bunch of crap going on. Push the button, slid the rifle off of him. I handed it to a friend of mine who's no longer with us, and I remember watching him pull the mag, jack the round out, and he leaned the thing into a tree. The thing's over, and I'm just watching this guy. This ain't my training event. I ain't saying nothing. I'm letting the guy that's running it handle it, and all of a sudden this guy's looking around like, you know, one of those things where the magician pulls your watch off. He didn't realize what had happened. When he found out that his muzzle was in a really unsafe spot where it could kill somebody and the safety was off, his face went white. Anyway, safe hang. These are not purse straps. I have positive control of my safety. Collapsed low ready. I've now got my support hand on the rifle, collapsed low ready. I also do a variant of this. You might compare it to position Sul, S-U-L, Portuguese for south. I call it depressed. I'm depressed because I can move. If you see my feet, I can move in basically a circle, and I know I'm not muzzling myself. If my muzzle's out here, I could be muzzling something 2 or 3 feet away. And same with here. If you see the angle of my muzzle, I'm a couple feet where that round would impact if there was an accidental or negligent discharge. So depressed would be straight down. Very finite space, but we'll talk through that. So I've got hang, I've got safe hang, I've got a collapsed low ready, I've got that depressed low ready instead of out here, minor adjustments. I've got a low ready, and we're going to talk on the range about the angle of the dangle. Remember, nobody's behind the camera. I've got high ready, buttstock comes into the armpit, and I've got high port, straight up, straight up. When I'm not on the trigger, my finger is high out of the trigger guard, guys. I'm not on or around the trigger. I'm high out of the trigger. I want to be careful on these guns that I don't hit things like mag releases. So I don't want a default position for my finger to be the mag release. So I'm up here, I'm not here. Sympathetic grasp, it's easy to get a finger into the trigger guard. Is all this stuff making sense? I'm going to show you one more time. Hang, where I understand where the muzzle is. Safe hang, I've got positive control of the safety. I've got a knowledge and positive control of the muzzle. Collapsed, low ready. 2 hands on the gun, I can pop the gun up from there. Depressed, pretty much the muzzle is in line with my spine, pointing straight down. If you've got a tummy, it's gonna look like this, pointing straight down. Some people refer to this as Sul. To not have something else, I'm just calling it depressed. I'm depressed, straight down. Low. High, and you may need to swim out of your sling, and high port. Let's do it on the range. I'm going to show you what I've got for targets out here, guys. I'm going to show you what I've got for some targetry, and we'll walk down here. Just got a USPSA target up, and I'm going to use this little postie because we're shooting rifles for F's sakes. So we'll use that Post-it note. I'm going to throw you guys, see where that sun's at so we don't hose ourselves. Post-it notes up, we're at about 10 yards. I'm gonna square up on the target. First things first, posture. Posture matters. When you're shooting a carbine, strong side shoulder, slightly back, support side foot, maybe forward. You might be square, but most folks are gonna find shoulder, the gun side shoulder slightly back. Weight's gonna come forward. Check this out. Take your butt, pop it back. It's not just bend down. Imagine somebody's pulling your belt buckle back. See that? Pull your belt buckle back. I'm going to drive into the gun. A lot of instructors out there discussing controlling the rifle in a myriad of different ways. Here's what I know. It wants to move. It's my job to not let it. How do I do that? I want to bring the gun. I'm switching just because most of you are righties. And remember, nobody's behind the camera. I want to bring the gun not out on my shoulder, but as close underneath my dominant eye as possible. And I'm going to bring the gun up to my eye. I'm going to develop a repeatable cheek weld. And that's one of the takeaways of all this training, is that as that gun comes up, I have a cheek weld and a sight picture. Weld, we don't weld something that comes apart, right? When we weld it, it's there forever. So I am developing a cheek weld. As that gun comes up, it's repeatable. Remember the R's that we use at CarryTrainer. Repeatable, reliable, robust. Here's where we're drilling in the repeatable. So we're in the hang position. I've squared up on my target. If I'm on the line and I'm about ready to shoot, know the condition of your weapon. I could press check now if I wanted to. Pump the forward assist, safety on. Close the dust cover, let it hang. I know the muzzle's not pointed at my feet or anybody else's. Number 2 position, again, safe hang. I've got positive control of the muzzle. I've got positive control of the safety with my dominant hand thumb. Collapsed, low, ready. I'm on the gun. So from here, I'm going to give the command of up. Drive the gun up, get a sight picture, safety comes off, hit, hit. I'm just going to dry fire a hit, safety comes on, and we're going to come back down to that collapsed, low, ready. Again, up, gun comes up, safety comes off, I go to the trigger, safety on, and I collapse. The safety is being actuated. It's not happening here. It's not, oh, I'm about to shoot, let me click the safety off. Hell no. I don't want this muzzle pointed down here and accidentally have this gun go off for some reason. As the gun comes up, the safety comes off. I am driving my dominant shoulder towards the target, and I am collapsing with the support arm. This is what's holding the gun, not the trigger hand. This is what's holding the gun. I can actuate and work the gun from here, safety and trigger. Again, for you righties, this is what's holding the gun. I am driving. I am collapsed in on the gun. Just saw some videos the other day, all kinds of nonsense, people describing different physics that's happening. Equal and opposite reaction, right? Projectile goes off, goes down range. Equal and opposite reaction, this is happening. But because of the fulcrum of us holding this, muzzles tend to want to rise. I have to drive the gun forward to stop it from going back, and I have to hold this. Guys like Coolie, look him up, were the guys that were working on getting that hand up high. Benny was coming up with this stuff in the 80s, dudes. This isn't some new shooter guy stuff. What happens if I get high like this? I have now created a wedge, right? This is exaggerated how high I am, but the higher I come up with that C-clamp, the more I can drive down and create a wedge for the gun not to rise. Does that make sense? That's where that stuff came from. We're not supporting this like we're out in the field, you know, shooting 100-yard bullseyes like with a bolt gun or something, or a single shot. I'm grabbing onto this gun and I am dragging it back into me. Okay, hang, safe hang, collapse, low, ready. Low, ready. The distance of low, ready depends. What's the context of a ready position? The context is something out there, be it the trainer has said, hey, get ready, you're about to shoot, a bad guy, a deer, whatever, something has got your attention. You don't know where it is yet, or you haven't decided if you should lawfully, ethically, morally point a gun at it. We don't point a gun at anything we're not willing to shoot, kill, and destroy, right? If I don't know what's out there, I am scanning what's going on out there. I get the up command, up, drive the gun into my line of sight, safety comes off, finger goes to the trigger, hit, hit, safety back on, drop the gun. Low, ready again. Notice my posture comes forward, up, hit, hit. High, ready. Swim out of the sling if you need to. As the gun comes out away from the body, I develop that same posture, safety off, hit, hit, safety back on, swim back into your sling. Why am I swimming out? That's how this sling works for me. The sling is not a purse strap, as I've said. It is there to help us hold the rifle. It's there to also aid us. Notice that how I've got this set up. As that gun's mounted, it is putting the gun right where I want it. It's putting the buttstock right into my shoulder. Food for thought, I've mentioned this before. Some of my mentors are some of the greatest shooters, some of the greatest super soldiers and sailors that there ever was and were, which I'm really honored to be able to say that. If you go and you ask 100 Green Beret, Rangers, Navy SEALs, how do you like your sling? You are going to find 50 to 100 different answers of very seasoned dudes. I know guys that say sling as far forward and back as possible. I know guys that like the sling right behind the grip and right in front of the magwell. I know guys that like it right behind the grip and all the way up front. I know guys that like it here and here. It depends. And I think a lot of that has to do maybe during time of service, what the flavor of the day was, maybe how much time you spent. I know a buttstock position, for most of us, it should be as far out as we can get it. I know a lot of guys like my good buddy Z Durham, they spent a lot of years doing CQB stuff with collapsed buttstocks. That's how he learned to run the gun. You look at guys like Jerry Michalik or dudes that are really high level 3-gunners, 2-gunner guys running carbines. Look at the Army Marksmanship Unit. You're not going to see those guys running those guns collapsed in. They're going to be out. Food for thought. Hang, safe hang, collapsed. The depressed, which is a movement position. The collapsed low ready versus the low ready. The high ready and the high port, which is also a movement position. I can traverse ground without pointing guns in people's faces. So why don't we train this stuff now with some live fire? So the ready positions that we're going to shoot from are going to be collapsed low ready, high and high ready. Got it? Here we go. So we're going to go collapse. I'm going to say up and we're going to do 2 rounds. Up, gun comes up, safety off. Hit, finger straight, and collapse. We'll do it again. Up, gun comes off, safety off when the gun comes up. Let's go to standard low ready, not collapse low ready. I started to tell you a minute ago, the distance to the target, the height of the target. I got a berm out in front of me. If the target was halfway up the berm, low ready is in front of the target. Low ready could be here, could be here. It depends on distance to target, elevation of target. So we'll work at about halfway, about 45 degrees for now. Up, 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 tap, rack. If you get a click instead of a bang, tap, rack. I don't know what's going on. Bad primer, I'm guessing. But that's probably what that was. So get a click instead of a bang, tap, rack. It's happening real with you. Low ready, one more time. Up. Let's go to high ready. And up, gun comes out, make contact, make sure we're pulling, pushing. And high ready, up. High ready, up. And let's swim back into our sling. We'll work through those again. Compressed, up. Compressed, up. Low, up. Low, up. High, and up. Up. Can we tack mag? Sure we can. Guns on safe. I can do this a few ways. I can come back to this high port position, high port, high ready, and I can make an L on my magazine. Right or left hand, you're going to do this the same way. I happen to have an ambidextrous gun. So I'm going to make an L, and this mag was out. I just had one more in the chamber. I'm not going to do this other than to show you. Let me go grab a fuller mag, so that we're not manipulating empties. That would be stupid. By the way, these are the new Tango Down mags that we've been demoing and working with for about 6 months. They don't look like anything you're used to, and there's good reason for it. Check out the video on this. So, righty, how do I top the gun off and manage my ammo? 2 ways. Make an L on the magazine. See that? Make sure we tug, because with the closed bolt, if the mag is super full, it might not click. So that's one way. The other way, make a C, and I've got these extra fingers here. See this? So this is us learning to manage and manipulate the gun and ammo. Does that make sense? Mickey with CarryTrainer.com, trying to give you guys some food for thought. Better show you the target. I threw a couple, which is why I'm out here doing this. Threw a couple. I got a couple low shots there. Height over bore at this distance, I need to aim about 2 inches high to hit. So I'm having to hold up here to hit here. Well, a couple of those times, I must have put my dot here. That's why we're training. I want to show you this stuff the way it goes off, not in some sanitized, sanctified kind of a way that's not real. Here's the synopsis. To be well regulated does not just mean that you own guns and you're exercising your Second Amendment right. To be well regulated means that you are ready should Congress call upon you, should your community call upon you, should nature call upon you to protect your life, your loved ones, the people that you have an oath to protect. I guarantee if you're a father, a mother, a husband, a brother, a son, you would protect your family at any means possible, with any means possible. Take the training with these tools that seriously. None of us would want to lay our head down knowing we could have done something or we failed because we didn't train. Failing sucks, but let's not fail because we didn't prepare ourselves. Hope is not a course of action. Hoping that you'll rise to the occasion is not a course of action. We train, thus we know our capabilities. Thus we know what we're made of. We know the stuff that we've got. Can we train for a gunfight out here on the range? Nope. But what I can do is I can train to drive that dot to wherever it is I need it to be. I can purpose in my heart to do good, to not inject anger into the world, but if it comes to me in an unrighteous way, I will be willing and able and ready to flip a switch and do whatever's needed to keep mine protected. This is Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Get some time in behind the rifle, working the essentials, man, the essentials. And there's a lot more. We'll do a bunch more, but this is the basic stuff. Let's clear this blaster out because that matters too. We'll make sure that we've got a good system. Control the muzzle, remove the source of ammunition, store it on my body, cycle, 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 lock the bolt to the rear, visually and if needed, physically inspect the chamber, the breech or bolt face, the mag well, look away. Break complacency. If it's worth doing and somebody's life depends on it, do it right. Chamber, breech face or bolt face, mag well. This gun is cleared, but I'm still going to treat it as if it was a loaded weapon. Be well, don't be dickheads. Peace out. Oh, hey.